Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the MonkeyFeet to train your glutes. This exercise is specifically going to target the superficial lateral fibers of the gluteus maximus muscle in middle range. And for it, we want to be in a pike position. So we're going to be on our feet and hands, and we want the hips flexed to 90 degrees. Then from this position, what you're going to do is we are going to walk out, and we want to make the shape of a V. Now, because we are going to be targeting the lateral fibers, what we want to do is we want to go into hip adduction, a deduction, by crossing the midline with the foot. And then in terms of the actual execution of the exercise itself, we are going to go into hip extension by driving the foot up toward the sky. And that is the actual execution of the exercise itself. Now we're going to go into a couple of common mistakes. Mistake number one is that you pick a weight that is too heavy. If you pick a weight that's too heavy, what's going to happen is you're going to have to really jerk and swing to get the movement down. You want to pick a weight that's appropriate enough that when you're performing the exercise, it allows you to do so while getting minimal recruitment from all of the other muscles and just isolating the hip. Mistake number two is not crossing the midline. What happens is, if we keep the leg in line in the midline, we're going to target more of the middle fibers. And if we go too far out to the side into abduction, we're going to target more of the medial fibers. If we specifically want to target the lateral fibers, we want to make sure that that hip crosses the midline. So you want to make sure that the hip goes across. Mistake number three is bending the knee. If we end up bending the knee when we are performing the exercise, what's going to happen is we're going to target more of the deep fibers of the gluteus maximus muscle. If we want to specifically target the superficial fibers, we want to make sure that that leg remains straight. So you want to make sure that you pick a weight that's appropriate enough that you don't have to bend the knee so that you're not targeting the deep fibers or turning it into a hamstring exercise. And then the final mistake is rotating the body. You don't want to rotate the body. This is not a trunk exercise. This is an exercise for the hip extensors, specifically the superficial gluteus maximus muscle. So when we're performing the exercise, you want to make sure that you're in a pike position with the hips at 90 degrees, which brings us to the next mistake. You don't want the hips to be too straight, and you don't want to be too far flexed. If we are too straight, what's going to happen is we're going to be targeting more of internal range, and if we are too far flexed, we're going to be targeting more of the external range. If we want to target specifically the fibers in middle range, we want to make sure that we are flexed to 90 degrees so that gravity is working hardest in that middle range position. But that is the strengthening exercise for the gluteus maximus muscle, specifically the superficial lateral fibers. So pike position, 90 degrees, cross the midline, and hip extension. And that is the strengthening exercise for the superficial gluteus maximus muscle in middle range.